Independent Living, Carly. We made this series of films to explore what independent living means to our members.
For me, my independent living is about my own choice and my own freedoms and my own control, but it's also about the things that I need to have that. One of the biggest things that allows me to live my life the way that I want to is my adapted car. I drive using my hands, and that really enables me to do things that I wouldn't be able to do otherwise. I move about using a combination of either no walking sticks or a wheelchair. In practice, there is less spontaneity than I would like because of the barriers that I face out in the community. But I think I have a good balance because of the aids and the adaptions and the little tricks that I have. Going out for the night, preparation is number one. And to find a wheelchair accessible way or a walking stick accessible way into London usually means adding about an hour onto a trip with various forms of planes, trains, automobiles, taxis or whatever, and being quite tired by the time you get there. So an example that I gave recently when working with someone is I really wanted to go to a music gig, but the venue wasn't wheelchair accessible. And whilst I could have got in on my sticks, one of my friends could not because they're also a wheelchair user. So I rang up the venue and asked them if they fancied buying a temporary ramp, one of those fold-out ones, and they immediately did, and that meant that we could both go to the gig and I could go and see the music I wanted to see with the person I wanted to see it with without having to worry about being too tired or not being able to get in or not being able to get out in an emergency, more importantly. And most people don't know that you can do that you can ring somewhere and be like, by the way, did you know this is a way that you can support disabled people to use your facilities?
Carly won bronze for Great Britain in water skiing.
People don't expect me to do adrenaline sports, so therefore I do all of them. So scuba dive, I paragliding, I've quad biked, that was the hardest one. But I've done most things and I've done them all in my own way. And sometimes, like water skiing, it's because there's already that expertise that exists that enables me to do it. And sometimes I'm the one who has to make up the rules. I have to be confident and assertive and say, this is how this is going to work. This is what I need in order to take part. But if I want to get past those barriers, actually sport is a really great place to be. I like the attitude that sport has of everybody giving a go and being together and joining in. But I also like the competitive side of it. I like seeing if I can do something faster, better, harder than I did before. I'm quite a determined person and sport just kind of gives me an outlet for that. Attitude is a big thing because it affects all of the things that I think are important for living a life. A lot of the attitude problems that I feel I am facing appear to have worsened in line with legislation that is more restrictive. And the language that's used around benefits for disabled people is actually very negative and frankly quite insulting. You get scroungers and frauds and fakes because there just isn't a lot of understanding about the subtle things. Yeah. I happen to have a very visible disability, so most people understand that maybe things are a bit different for me in terms of how I move because they can see it. But that actually doesn't bother me. How I move doesn't particularly bother me. It's the subtler, harder things that if you haven't lived through it, it's harder to understand that really frustrate me. It's the missed nights out, it's the homework that you couldn't do because you couldn't access it, it's the classes you missed for hospital appointments. Those are the things that make me frustrated, and those are the things that stop me from having that choice and control that I originally talked about in terms of my independent living. I love the fact that I get to contribute to my life and my friends and my job and my sports without equal access to education, without healthcare, without physio, without Motability that provides my car. None of it would have happened. Equality isn't just something lovely to aspire to, it's actually incredibly practical. Equality for a country gives you more than it could possibly ever take away because it makes everybody part of society. When it comes to disability, because you end up being the expert, because you have to find the solve, and that's the biggest adventure and the biggest risk of independent living, is you have to be in charge. There's no set path for it. It's going to be different for every individual, and for most of the issues that you come across, you're going to have to be the one that finds the solution. There are places that you can go to for help. You can develop support networks of people either with other conditions or with the same conditions, and that can be really helpful. There's great online forums, but at the end of the day, when you wake up in the morning and something that was working yesterday isn't working today, it's on you to find a way around it. So yeah, you've got to be a bit of a pioneer. You've got to be confident, be fearless, plan what it is that you're doing, know what it is that you want, because nobody knows more about you, your impairment, your life, or what it's going to look like than you do. You're going to be the driving force behind your wonderful independent life. Being fulfilled, having choice and control, it will keep you healthy. Having access to exercise will keep you healthy. Having access to family, to friends, to a job maybe, or volunteering or education. This is what will enable you to live a healthy, happy, stable life.